Good evening, everybody. Lee here. Hi, I'm reaching out to you from Nashville. Is that Carl Martin Tam? Is that Tam who I see on the screen? Blacked out. Yeah, Eustace has joined us. Good. Vilnius, yes. Ah, good. There he is, Carl. Nice. Eustace, hey, you're a champion. Everyone's a winner. Maria, how's the office? It's fine. All right. Oh, life is good. So it's nice. No one has problems. That's very exciting. Welcome aboard. If you were listening there for just a moment before I started off the recording, I was playing an obscure song by the Beach Boys called Sail On Sailor. So today's theme is very naval, not your belly button, but naval in the sense of sailing a boat. Yeah? So we're going to use the metaphor of sailing boats to talk about leadership. All right? So if you got paper handy, get it ready. I've got my cup of water. I just finished swimming a few thousand meters, so I'm feeling refreshed and sore. Got my green tea here. So I am good to go. So this is Tea with Lee. I'm trying to think of clever things that we can call this rather than just a leadership call. I mean, that sounds about as exciting, Hey, join us on the leadership call. All right. We'll come up with something maybe at the meeting in Leeds. But welcome aboard. Today's topic title is 3 Reasons Leaders Sink. 3 Reasons Leaders Sink. So some of you are writing that down. That's good. You're going to win. You're going to have a successful career. Others are not taking notes. And it was nice knowing you. So just kidding. So in the States, we have a saying about floating your boat. People say, well, if it floats your boat, do it, which means if it suits you, if it makes you happy, then do it. So we're not going to talk about floating your leadership boat today. We're going to talk about how to sink your leadership boat. And some of you, again, are young. You're like in your young 20s. And so you're like, I don't lead anybody. Yes, you do. If you influence other people around you, you are leading, in fact. Because leadership, as John Maxwell says, is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Hey, and just another little aside here, Jason Dial, I think our new president, there he is, he's waving. Look at him. Wave again. That's what he looks like.
Say hello to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, nice. He is with us today. That's very exciting. I had a chance to have a breakfast with him the other day in Nashville. We're both from Nashville, so I remember Jason distantly. I recognized his face instantly when he was a young bookseller with the Southwestern Company way back in the day. So I remember him when he was just a punk. So, and now look at him, all grown up and helping to run the company. That's very exciting. You are going to like Jason. He's earnest. He is intelligent. He is honest. He is direct and more. And I can keep going with adjectives, but you're going to discover that he really cares about you, or he will when he gets to know you. And he's going to create an environment that will help you thrive. So look forward to, if you ever have a chance to meet with him, talk to him, coach with him, you'll be very impressed, as I was. So well done. And that's all on the recording for the record. So excellent. Let's talk about how to sink your boat. You will never succeed as a leader if you sit and poke holes in the boat that you're in. All right? And if some of you are very literal, you're like, I don't understand why you're talking about a boat. Well, I am using this as a metaphor for your career, okay? So if you sat in a boat and then you took a spike and just started poking holes in your boat, you would not travel far. You'd be swimming. So let's talk about 3 reasons. I'm going to maybe throw in a 4th if you're really good today about ways that you can mess up your leadership career. Okay, number 1. This is for young people that are new to the business, regardless of what your station is, whether you're a booking buddy or a clothier or EA or whatever you are. The need, number one, biggest reason you can sink your boat is the need for dramatic results. The need for dramatic results. I mean, when several of us worked at Southwestern years ago, I got to run sales organizations, and I recruited people that I thought, man, they are going to do so well in our business. You know, and I can list a number of them, but I'll just, in general, I knew guys that had all A's at university, all firsts. They were good athletes. Most everything came easy to them. They just had lots of God-given talent. And so my sense was, well, this is somebody that's going to do really well. And I sort of would bet money they would be really successful. And a lot of times they were initially, but because they had a need for big results quickly, they folded, failed, and many of them quit. And people were shocked. They're like, I can't believe he left the business. Well, they were so used to having everything go well for them that when things were difficult, they had a hard time. So some people, you know, if you're one of those type of people that everything you've done in your life has come easy to you because God has given you talent and brains and ability and skill, then you're going to discover at LGFG that there are rocks that can hit your boat. And we'll talk about that next. But if you have a need for big results quickly, you could get frustrated. Okay? So here's a saying that I've always clung to. I don't care how you start, it's how you finish that's important. I don't care how you start in the business, but it's how you finish, you know. And there are lots of examples of you guys who are kind of like plugging along, like, okay, this is my 6th month, this is my 7th month. I don't see tons of results, but that's okay. You've got to stick with the system, stick with the process, keep working hard, and things are going to come to you, I promise. So the desire to make a huge difference right away is deadly when it hinders incremental progress. Incremental progress is what we want. If you show up ready to row the boat, worry about where you're going or the big destination or massive goals, maybe later. The final destination comes later. So sometimes we can get really disappointed with small victories, but I think small victories are the key. If you're arrogant, you need big wins to keep satisfying your ego. But humility, and I love humility. I'm all about humility. In fact, I'm one of the most humble people you'll ever meet. That was a joke. But humility is the way forward, okay? Forget about reaching the shore in your boat. Just execute your best plan today. What am I supposed to do today? If I can just put one foot in front of the other and keep making those calls, I will be successful. So don't worry about, you know, the huge results. So here's the first question I have under the topic number 1, the need for big results. Ask yourself this when we hang up. What little victories did I have last week? What little victories did I have last week? Your job, if you're new at this, and even if you're older, is to catch yourself doing things right, okay? Catch yourself doing things right. It's so easy to catch yourself doing things wrong, especially if you're new. You're like, oh, God, I blew that, and I messed this up, and I didn't have the right tone, and they took charge, and you know, all the things you can mess up. But notice, force your brain to answer the question, what little victories did I have? Not what big victories, you know. Did I sell a Corona this week? Woo! Don't care. That's nice. But what little victories did I have? Okay, number 2, second way to sink your boat is too much self-worry. Leaders who have too much self-worry. So here's what happens when pressure builds to produce and to perform. First-year people, rookies, tend to turn inward and they get self-absorbed. Because you know what they start thinking? Instead of like, do the process, execute the process, let's do the script, it's, how am I doing? What's wrong? What if I don't make quota? What if I can't sell? Or you think to yourself, this isn't working. Or you think, what will people think of me? if I don't start getting productive fast? So and that doesn't help you. You know, you have to think thoughts that build you up. But immature leaders worry way too much about themselves and way too little about serving other people. They get paralyzed with self-absorption. You know, I remember one time when I was really suffering with having my head inserted fully into my one of the orifices of my body, so to speak. I wasn't doing well, really frustrated. And I called my director and I was like complaining, and I can't believe what's going on, and this isn't working, and I can't believe, and what if I can't pay for school, and blah, 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 blah. And he just said, hey, I've got a question. I'm like, what's that? After he listened for about 15 minutes, he said, have you thought recently about serving clients? I was like, what? He's like, have you thought, you know, you might want to think about pulling your head out of your butt and start talking and thinking about how you can help people. And I was like, oh yeah, right. Hadn't thought about that for a while. Huge new thought. So see life through your impact on the whole organization. Just understand that if you're like, well, I'm not in a leadership position, you know that you have a ripple effect, your actions on everybody. So one of your jobs might be, hey, how can I make my life, the people above me that are coaching me, that are training me, the folks who are running offices, how can I make life easier for them instead of being a pain in the butt? That would be a good thing. So if you help others make a difference, then there will be huge returns that come back to you. So here's your question for the second way to poke holes in your boat. Ask yourself this, or discuss it in your group. When do I tend to get self-absorbed under pressure? When do I get self-absorbed under pressure? And then once you can identify, oh, here are the circumstances where I really get caught up in self-worry, then here's the better question. How do I get out of it? What's my key to snapping out of being stuck? Okay? Everybody's got their own system. Okay? Everybody says, okay, so wait, let me think. When I need to get unstuck, when I'm worrying, I just remind myself, guess what? Eustace had to deal with this at one point. Or, you know what? Chenda used to be frustrated when he wasn't killing it out there. Sometimes that's just a little useful thought that can get you unstuck. So think, what do I think about that helps me get unstuck when I really start freaking out? That would be a useful key because you're going to need it. All right? Makes sense? Everybody happy? Nod your heads. Make a movement. Yes. Okay. All right. Third way to poke holes in your boat. Third way I've seen leaders fail is running from turbulence. Turbulent waters. Running from problems. Trying to escape from chaos. Turning away in fear. No. You need to turn into the storm if you hope to make a difference. Let me give you an example. Has anybody gone, when I used to go to Mexico frequently, we would go body surfing. Anybody been surfing before? Raise your hand if you've been, yes, okay. And I know the people and some folks in Devour are like, yeah, surfing. Well, if you're out doing, using a bodyboard or you're body surfing, I don't know if you've ever seen, when I was in Cancun once, they had some serious waves. And as you know, I swim, so I'm not afraid of the water. But I can recall getting caught at the wrong part of the wave and just getting crushed into the sand and shells and run up on the beach and swallowing water, and you've got salt in your eyes, and you're like, oh my gosh, that doesn't work. So what I found was, if you see a big wave coming, if you see a big problem, for example, another metaphor, you don't try to, one way to escape it if you can't get under it and ride it is to just dive beneath it, okay? In other words, you turn, face it, jump under it, and you can feel this mass of water go over your body. It kind of lifts you up a little bit, but you turn, you come up on the surface and watch it crash on the beach and realize that could have been you. So I'm going to encourage you to not run away from problems and frustrations and turbulence in your LGFG career, but turn into, embrace them. You know, God sort of sends those to you for a reason, to make you grow. So servant leaders, we've talked about servant leadership with John Maxwell. Notice how stormy seas kind of impact the whole crew in the office. Poor leaders run away from turbulence, or they just avoid it at all costs. But you will never make a difference when you run from difficulty, okay? You will never make a difference when you run from difficulty. So I'm going to encourage you to stand for something, have a point of view, face into the wind, however you want to say it. I know lots of successful leaders who are leading through turbulence and through those choppy waves. Because you know why? How they can do it? Their goal is not all about self-promotion and what is this? It's all about me. Their goal is helping other people. How can I help my clients? How can I help my office mates, my teammates? Okay. So turbulence creates insecurity. It creates fear. Servant leaders feel the fear of others and they respond with some courage and compassion. So their orientation is to serve the best interests of other people. So you can write this down and take it to the bank. The more people you help, the more successful you become. That's a truth. The more people you help, the more successful you become. Okay? So here's the question for our final little point. How can I embrace the pain of turbulence and not shrink from it? How can I embrace the frustration and use it as a learning experience or a teaching moment and not just shrink away from it in avoidance? That's a good discussion question. So I've given you 3 questions. All right. Let me just throw out a 4th one real quick. We won't go into this in great detail, but this is more for veteran LGFGers. But let me just say this. A 4th way you can really poke the hole in your boat is complacency. Complacency. In other words, I talked about this 4 or 5 calls ago, satisfied-itis. When you're just like, you know what? I'm doing okay. So I'm not going to put this into 5th gear and try to do better and really improve myself. I'm just going to kind of cruise right here. And everybody's kind of cruising at this speed. So I'm just going to go with the flow. Complacency will impact your career negatively. You know, just like the wave we talked about, you can ride the wave initially, but guess what? As the shore comes, it peters out and there's no more momentum. You're just lying face down in the sand. There's no movement. So complacency will take you to the shore and that's about it. Then you stop. So you can ride that for a while, but I would encourage you to keep pushing yourself. All right. So there are more ways to poke holes in your career boat, as it were. So I'd like you to talk about, I'll throw out 2 more questions in case you actually do discussions when we hang up. One is this: what sinks leaders? You think of some more. As you look around, as you look at your career or other jobs you've had previous to this, what has hurt some of the people that were leading you? As you look at them, what were some of their shortcomings, their mistakes, skills that they lacked, whatever? Discuss that. Those are things to avoid, okay? And then on the flip side, here's another last question, I'll shut up. What key leadership behaviors help leaders succeed every day? So think of, if you had to give a talk at the upcoming meeting in a few weeks on keys to leadership success, what behaviors help leaders succeed every day? That would be a good topic to talk about. Yeah? Okay. So tell me, anybody have a thought out there? I know that there's tons of people listening and everybody's muted very politely. Any thoughts from the gallery or anything that was just a huge hole poker, but I totally left out? Or any examples? Okay. You guys have been awfully polite. Thank you so much for being polite today. So listen, I wish you success this week. I look forward to seeing you at the leads meeting. Keep working hard so you can make it there and qualify. And we'll continue our little journey on leadership next week at this time. So thanks for tuning in. Remember, make a small difference today if you hope to make a big difference tomorrow. There you go. All right. We'll see you. Thanks for tuning in. You're all winners. Bye-bye.